We will get there, but here we go. Spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Ruby Rock, we have the German Protoss player. We have the green Protoss. Representing Streamer Zone, it is Jumy. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the red Zerg player. The red Zerg player himself, it is YoungYakov. And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. It is Gamba time. Predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chat. Now, in the previous series, Shameless was the heavy favorite, just because Mini Zerg is still a young player that's still, again, rising through the ranks. Is still leveling up as a player, improving as a player. Meanwhile, as we load into this series, it's kind of the opposite here. I would say that YoungYakov, he is the favorite player. YoungYakov, he's what, like top 5 Zerg in Europe? Maybe top 4? Like, who would I place above YoungYakov? I would place, obviously, Cyril, Raynor, and I would say Lambo. I would say that at the moment, a Laser and YoungYakov are comparable in skill, if not YoungYakov just straight up better than a Laser. But a part of that is because, if you know anything about a Laser has been very inactive. He only recently started playing again because he did switch to AoE. He was playing a lot of Age of Empires 4 throughout the majority of last year, like referring to September, October, November, December. Was playing a lot of AoE, and more recently did return to StarCraft, but is still kind of finding his place. Referring to a Laser. So we'll see how Jumy keeps up, how Jumy compares. Now, Jumy is a very different kind of player. Shameless, if you notice, for the most part, he was playing very mid to late game oriented. We saw almost every game Shameless try to go into Sky Toss. Here, Jumy is a lot more aggressive, much more aggressive here. He can play the late game. Don't get me wrong, he can play late game, he can play into a longer game state, but he's also more willing to go for earlier tech, earlier aggression, more shenanigans. Jumy, he's a little more chaotic. A little more chaotic. And we'll see if we can catch YoungYakov off guard. YoungYakov, comparing him to GG Machine, YoungYakov, he's a little more aggressive as well. True. I mean, both Jumy and YoungYakov, they're a little more aggressive, a little more assertive in the mid game. Yakov, of course, has a little more experience compared to Mini Zerg. And at times and is often more decisive. There we go. For now, Stargate opener out of Jumy. I was going for the Stargate. From here, looking to poke in. Welcome to Ruby Rock. Ruby Rock is known for aggression, is known for all-ins, has a shorter rush distance by ground. So our eyes are going to be on our tech of choice for both players. So far, catching the tumor. Nice pick up there by Jumy. Jumy does threaten a dive. Yeah, StarCraft in a good enough spot to start playing for the first time, population-wise, and the players to play at most ranks. Depends on the region. I would say that the population was relatively healthy in the European region and in the Korean region, the Korean server, the European server. I would say on the American server, it's a little bit smaller. Unfortunately, it's a little bit smaller, so you will still not have issues finding players, but I would say that you would most likely hit the same players more often, if that makes sense. But outside of that, like, you wouldn't have issues finding games. On peak hours, of course. Peak hours. Yeah. Still active. Still can find games. You could also argue like it's a good thing, I guess. Like if you're playing in a certain MMR range and you're playing like, I don't know, like say the same 10 to 20 people, then you can like get accustomed to them and used to them. Like there's pros and cons to it, but you shouldn't have issues finding games unless you're playing at like, I don't know, like 3 a.m. in the morning, 4 a.m. in the morning, that sort of thing. Like if you're playing at proper degen hours, like that's when the struggles can happen. Looking for games. For now, though, speaking of weird tech, it is going to be a Twilight Council follow-up into Forge. Meanwhile, it's going to be early charge. Charge +1 in towards Temple Archives and Storm. We saw something very similar out of Shameless, if you recall. So something similar out of our Protoss player. And on the flip side of things, we have YoungYakov not opening up +1 melee, but +1 range and roaches. As we mentioned at this during Minizerg's series and during Minizerg's games, it is a lot more common nowadays not to go +1 melee, to instead go into these more roach-heavy styles, just because of the prevalence of charge-based follow-ups. So the meta has been shifting in the direction that we're seeing here from YoungYakov. Ooh, as YoungYakov, he does sneak out the Spire as well. Okay. Spire has been thrown down, potential for mutas, and we'll see if Jumy can scout. We'll see if he does figure out what's going on. Bearing in mind, because of Jumy's builds, what does he not have? Blink, right? Blink is a non-factor here, so he has limited anti-air. Mutas can do more damage if they go unscouted. This was really hard in the beginning, but very interesting. For sure, right, that's maybe a better question. As we are setting up Job Lords, oh my god, I assumed that we were going to be building up into a longer game. The Oracle does come in, the Oracle does confirm the Spire, but in the end, YoungYakov, he's set up for a push, he's set up for an all-in, he's going for the German taxi. Let's go. Job Lords are morphing in as we speak. Jumy has no idea, he's throwing down cannons back at home. But Jesus, he is well fortified at his third, though. That's a lot of cannons, a lot of shield batteries. Jumy, he's set up. Can he survive? Now, what's going to be hurting Jumy is the second Stargate and Phoenix production that will not help in the defense. Jumy's getting ready for mutas, mutas that aren't coming. Not yet, at least. As here come the queens. Here comes the all-in. It's all or nothing for Yakov. Behind this, going for the infestation pit. Interesting. On the miles. Oh my god, catching up both oracles. Oh my, Dark, calm down. Este YoungYakov. Files down both oracles. Pushing further in. Storm is done. There are a couple of storms available. As we land the storm here on the queens. 1, 2 queens go down. As Yakov isn't gaining too much ground here. As time goes on, we have more immortals, more zealots. Yeah, Jumy, he cannot break through. He starts a drone. He does recognize. He's droning. He's taking. He's just trying to buy time with this army, trying to keep Jumy busy. But Jumy's taking up. We have a temple. We have the fleet being already done. Tempests are on the way. Yakov is switching into lurkers, into hydras. And we'll see who hits first. Who hits first? Oof. Yeah, as Jumy is making 2 tempests at a time. He's making use of that second Stargate. He's making use of it. Now, Yakov is actually in a decent position here. On the one hand, sure, like this army didn't really do enough damage. That is true, but on the same time, he has a decent economy and he already has the Spire. So when Skytoss is revealed, he already has +1 flyer attack. He can make Corruptors. He has access. So you have Fnatic just dancing with the army, bleeding out roaches. Which he wants to. He wants to get rid of those roaches, replace them with lings, hydras, and eventually, potentially, corruptors. Hive is finishing up. But yeah, there is quite a bit of a learning curve to StarCraft, and I would say there's probably a high barrier to entry. Like the floor is quite high, but it's definitely an enjoyable experience. Like if you're looking for that sort of thing, for sure. As Yakov throws away his roaches, at the same time distracting on the top side as well. Lurkers are revealed. He's building up his lurker counts. Greater Spire on the way as well. Okay. Again, Yakov, he has all the tech. Jumy is still stuck at home. Still stuck turtling. I don't believe Yakov has spotted the Tempest yet. I believe he's fully aware. Otherwise, we'd be seeing like +2 flyer attack or +1 flyer carapace instead of the Greater Spire. I feel like Corruptor upgrades would be more important. As Yakov, he is maxed out. He's got a decent lurker count. He can move in. Tempest are not quite in position. Oh, lurker really goes off. Nice knife, gets a Templar. Takes down a Templar, pushing further into the Nexus. Tempest are now revealed. And now Yakov has to trade. He has to trade out these roaches. Oof, that brutal storm here on the army. And does snipe another high Templar. There's one storm left. Down to 1, the base goes down. Oh my god. Yeah, catching out of the high Templar, and Jumy, he's struggling. Sure, he has all these Tempests, but he can't do much with them. Because here come the Corruptors. Corruptors are on the way. Again, they already have +1. Again, the early Spire is helping. It's helping back. And again, I just don't see Jumy stabilizing here. Like, it's it's just a very expensive army he's trying to build up, and he just doesn't have the economy for it. He's built up to 6 Tempests, which would be terrifying if we didn't have any Corruptors. I will say that the Corruptor count is quite low. It's only 6, so we could do with more. Once again, Lurkers, they distract on the top side. Main Lurker does hit the 4th. The main army does come in. 4th base should be denied. It's going to be close. Storm's Ace turned away. Immortals, they distract some of those shots. Ah, he still gets it. Yeah, still gets it. Oh, that's a kill! That's a kill, not a cancel. Aye, aye, aye. That should not have happened. 9 more probes going down, and here come 10 more Corruptors, getting up to 16 Corruptors. And Jumy just cannot stabilize from here. Again, if he had a higher Archon count and a higher Storm count or high Templar count, then sure. But it's not there. Ooh, Mothership gets caught out. Yeah, massive volleys on the Mothership. Mothership goes down. Brutal pickoff. Down to 6 Tempest. And 1 carrier. Workers, they move in once again. Tempests are getting called out. Yeah, going for the Parabomb. Oh, and with that, every Tempest should fall. Yeah, we just tanked the storm, so we... Aye, aye, aye. Does catch the carrier. Carrier goes down. Lurkers, they move in. Knocking down the front door. And again, there's just not much left here. These Lurkers are going to be cleaned up. True. Jumy, he's hanging in there. He's holding on. It's down to 1 carrier. And Yakov just has to calm down. Just calm down, build up his Hydras, rebuild his Lurkers. He only has 2 Lurkers, which is a bit of a concern. But it should be okay. Yeah, Yakov, he does rebuild, he remaxes with Ling Hydra. 6 more Lurkers morphing in, and Jumy just cannot break out. Again, despite the aggression earlier, despite the all-in that YoungYakov had gone for off of 70 workers, he was so quick to recognize that he could not kill, to drone, to tank, to get another expansion. To build up into Lurkers. And did a great job of just buying time. He didn't overcommit, he just bought time with his roaches. With that collapsing on the final army. And it's a decent Archon count, but it's too late, Pappy. It's too late. GG gets called, and YoungYakov takes game number 1. GG. Whew. GG, well played. YoungYakov does take a lead in the series, and we'll see if Jumy can recover and bounce back. I will say the last game was very unorthodox in a sense. I mean, Ruby Rock does favor aggression, favor all-ins, and we had YoungYakov just double down and commit with Roach Ravager. Jumy, he was able to hold on, but he was still contained, right? He was still contained on 3 bases. He had a very, very late 4th base that allowed YoungYakov to get ahead, to drone up, take more bases, and to tech into Lurkers. GG. GG, all played. I would also say that the Spire did actually help YoungYakov. If you remember, the Spire got scouted, and Jumy reacted with the 2nd Stargate and with Phoenix production, whereas he didn't need them, not against a Roach all-in. Also did help. But with that, we're getting into game 2. YoungYakov takes the lead, and we'll see if Jumy can recover, bounce back, and make a series out of this. Let's go. So you're loading into Title Citadel. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Title Citadel, we have the German Protoss player. We have the green Protoss representing Streamer Zone. It is Jumy. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the red Zerg player. The red Zerg player himself. It is YoungYakov. Un momento. Good. We are deep in the summer here. Hello, Senor Yakov. We came back just in time because we do have a standard hatch first. That is true. He throws down the Reaper, he throws down the spray, because here comes the hatch block. So it's going to be hatch first into a 2nd hatchery, but across the map. Again, drone scouting is non-existent. Drone scouting is not a thing in higher levels of SC2. So this drone is much more sinister than that, setting up for the hatchery instead. Now I'm expecting a hatch block to delay the expansion, especially because there's no early pool. There's no early spawning pool, there's no early gases. Drone moves in, and the hatchery is thrown down. So when you think about this and you compare it to other matchups, this is the equivalent of an eBay block. Like an engineering bay block does delay the expansion and does force the unnatural natural. This here shouldn't force another base, but it does force a reaction, does force the boys to be pulled. So the boys are being pulled, Zealot's on the way as well. 2nd gateway is going to be another reaction here. This will be cancelled, this will be dealt with, but again, delays and throws a wrench in the works when it comes to Jumy's build. As he has 5 probes that aren't mining, and of course, no expansion. Now, bearing in mind that this will elicit a response, what we should be seeing here is, I believe, a 2nd Zealot, 2 Zealots and 2 Adepts, or just 1 Zealot and 2 Adepts. Cybercore is done. Oh, Stalker's on the way. That is not normal. There's a cancellation. Does cancel just in time. So usually we would see Adepts, not Stalkers. What is the reason for that? Adepts, they shade, right? They shade across the map, and they get across the map very quickly, and they often do allow for a counterattack and some counter damage. At 2 Adepts, they can one-shot drones, and YoungYakov, he would have a hard time defending against Adept aggression. Jumy's going for the gold. Let's go. Gas steal on the main, just being as annoying as possible. Crazy move here by Jumy, but he's going for the gold waste to make up for his lost expansion. Yeah, it is a bold move. Ooh, that's a kill. That's a kill, not a cancel. Yakov does mess up towards the end. does slip up. Jumy, he now has the money for it. Show us that Nexus. Ah, never mind. I'm sure he thought about it. He thought about it, but in the end, no, he does expand back at home. No gold base. Meanwhile, he counterattacks with only one adept. The Stalker does at least zone away the Overlord, so it denies vision, denies scouting. Oh, and may even kill. Oh, barely not. Barely not. And we do see Jumy going for a very early Twilight Council. I'm leaning towards Glaive Adepts here. We're leaning towards Adepts. Could be Charge. But regardless, hyper aggression out of Jumy. And Yakov doesn't know because of the Overlord. And now we understand why we did open up Stalker instead of Adept. Jumy was less concerned about early Adept harass. He was more concerned about hiding his tech and hiding not Glaive Adepts, so going into a Dark Shrine. Okay. Going into DTs. So Dark Templar are going to be on the way. Cheeky move out of Jumy. And now he goes to the gold, going for the gold as a fast third expansion before the natural's even done. Okay. Again, just a lot of risks are being taken here. A lot of risks, a lot of gamble. A lot of gamba, baby, a lot of gamba. Which is what we expect out of Jumy. As we mentioned, like Jumy, he's a much more chaotic player compared to Shameless. No, he gets scattered. Yeah, Yakov, he knows. He also reveals that he knows as well. Oof, there's no saving this. Yeah, no shot. But what's important? Do you see what I see? I see no lair. There's no lair currently for YoungYakov, but he throws down safety spore crawlers. Yeah, we got a spore in the main, we got a spore at the natural, and a spore at the third base. So safety spores. Of course, YoungYakov, he hasn't seen the main, but for all he knows, it could be a Stargate, right? It could be a Stargate, it could be an Oracle opener. So getting safety spore crawlers, I mean, is relatively standard. Third base is denied. And Yakov, he can cancel another. Yeah, he moves in, gets a full surround, does force a cancel. Surrounds the Zealot. Surrounds the battery. More links are flooding in, and Jumy, he's being torn apart here. He's just being torn apart. We have the Dark Shrine DTs that are welding across the map. But these are still some rough losses here for Jumy. And back at home, we already have those spores. They're already in position, for the most part. Yeah, DTs are welding in. There's 4 queens ready here at the third base. By now, if it was a Stargate, there would have already been an Oracle. So internally, Yakov just, again, crossing off what it could be. Lings are dealt with. Oh, yeah, DTs that don't find any damage. Overseer's on the way. Lair is now done. Getting into Overlord speed. And Jumy's in a very rough position. Oh. Again, going into the gold wasn't worth it, and the DTs, they weren't worth it either. So there's just a lot of tech, a lot of resources from Jumy that just kind of went down the drain. As he was forced to cancel not just the gold, but remember, he was forced to cancel his third as well. So his third is heavily delayed. Heavy delay on the third base. No harassing damage either. We have Yakov once again going for the Spire. And he's still droning. Still droning up, claiming a 4th expansion. Building up his Roach Ravager. I do think that Yakov could just commit here on 3 bases. Make nothing but Roaches and knock down the third. But for now, he's still droning. He's droning, teching. He is moving out, but this is not committed. It's not committed. He shouldn't achieve too much here. Yeah, he just pokes in. He just pokes in. He's just posturing. YoungYakov still trying to be active. He joined up to 70, taking extra gases, double expanding. And Yakov just getting further ahead. And Yakov is going to be the first to max out. He'll be the first to max out. Again, it's just a really rough position here for Jumy. It's very rough. As Yakov, he dies on the Archon. He gets one. One Archon goes down. Now going for the other. At least trying to. Yeah, a bit of a messy assault here. The force fields do amazing when it comes to zoning back the army, but despite that, roaches, they still get in. They get 2 Archons. They get 2 of the 2 of the sentries. These roaches are going to be cleaned up, but they traded. Right, they did trade in the end. And as they get cleaned up, we have 7 mutants in production. Mutants are on the way. Yakov, his drone kind of still very healthy. He's actually droning up even further. The mutants are coming. It's gonna be 14. 14 mutants on the way. Getting up to 16. Ay, ay, ay. And remember, there's... Oh, no, there is Blink. Okay, we do have Blink Stalkers. We have a couple of Archons. We have Stalkers in position in the main. Mutants, they hit the natural. Oof, catching a pylon. Depowering both robos. And he just collapses in. Yeah, he just commits. Oof. And as all this is happening, we have roaches amassing. Right, we're building up into roaches, making sure we're ready with a ground counterattack. It's gonna be 13 dead probes. It doesn't get the contamination. Barely not. A bit of a rough move here with these mutas as they're gonna be going down. Now losing 2, 3 mutas. Ground army commits in. And he just commits. Yeah, he's just going for the fight. Diving on the Archon. Diving on the Stalkers. You do see Jumy, he was out of position with his ground army. He was out of position. Every Stalker goes down. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, Lings, they wreak havoc. Mutas as well. And Jumy can't keep up. He cannot keep up. Not like this. GG gets called, and YoungYakov takes a 2-0 lead in the series. GG. GG all played. Again, a very bold build here by Jumy. Again, he was in a rough position because of the hash block, and remember, he chose to go for the ninja base. He chose to go for the gold. He also chose to rush into Dark Templar. Unfortunately, the gold base was scouted, and unfortunately, there were spores for the DTs as well. So the ninja base wasn't worth it. The Dark Templar weren't worth it. So Jumy fell behind due to this big investment into a greater economy and into some tech, which did not pan out. Did not pan out. Was not worth it. Did fall behind. GG well played. With that, YoungYakov takes a lead in the series. He extends it, and Yakov is 1 game away from claiming the series. No boy. Uno más, papi. Uno más. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Winter Madness, we have the German Protoss player. The pressure is on. He's down in the series. Can he bounce back? And can he make a series out of this? Representing Streamer Zone, it is Jumy. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Zerg player. The red Zerg player himself leading the series 2-0. It is YoungYakov. Here we go. Here we go. So players are going to be building up. building up, they're going to be settling in, and welcome on all to Winter Madness. Winter Madness is one of the larger maps of the map pool, larger map, longer rush distance by ground. Again, the pressure's on Jumy here, and we'll see if he goes for a standard approach, we'll see if he goes for something else that's a little bit cheeky here. And again, he's known for these more quirky builds, he's known for being unorthodox, so we're expecting something a little bit different out of Jumy. Show us what you got. From Yakov, honestly, I would say that's similar to Title Citadel, but Winter Madness, I do like the idea of meta-play, like going just, I mean, I say that every game actually, we've seen Aspire. Some games we committed to meters, others not, so I'm thinking about Game 1 on Ruby Rock, but it has been Roach into Spire every game so far by YoungYakov. The opener was different last time, we did have the hatch block, but outside of that, we've kind of seen the same overall game plan from YoungYakov, and I would imagine that game plan is going to continue here. It's going to be a Roach Warren, a delayed Evo Chamber into Spire. We'll see. So we're kind of settling into Winter Madness. Again, this is one of the larger maps in the map pool. Larger map, a longer rush distance by ground, more defendable bases. If Jumy were to try to be more defensive and turtle up into Sky Toss, I could see it working here in Winter Madness. True. See that working. More so than Ruby Rock. But now Stargate opener. The Stargate is actually further back behind the mineral line. Interesting. Curious here. I mean, based on the rally across the map, it does look like an Oracle, but we could still open Void Ray. Typically, you wouldn't hide your tech behind the main base like this without good reason. So we'll see if he commits. It could just be just to make it more difficult to scout. That's it. Yeah, Stalker's on the way. True. So Stalker's on the way. This tells us that it should be an Oracle-based opener. The Stalker is designed to hunt down the Overlord and to deny vision. Oracle's on the way. And the Stalker is rallied to the Overlord. But I think the Overlord still scouts, to be honest. So I say pull away. Oh, no, the Stalker. No, the Stalker. You had one job. Yeah, the Stalker doesn't miss the Overlord. The Overlord comes in, and the Overlord gets a full scout of the main. In the end, this Stalker wasn't really worth it. It does mean that this third base is going to be a little bit weaker. Defensively, I mean. But YoungYakov, he isn't going for a Ling counterattack. So we're just calming down. We're droning up. Spores are on the way. Building up into the mid game. The next kind of big piece of tech we're waiting for here is the Twilight Council. And the Twilight Council timing. So eyes are on Jumy. Likewise, we're also looking for the timing of the Eva Chamber and the Roach Warren. So far, no chamber. Oh, that's going to be a Robo before Twilight Council. Okay. You have my attention. Meanwhile, that's going to be a 4:30 Roach Warren timing out of YoungYakov. Same as last game. So opening up Roaches. We're leaning towards eventually Aspire. Meanwhile, Jumy going for the early Robo here is indicative of aggression. This is indicative of a couple of different things. This could be Robo into Twilight Council, into Temple Archives, into Archon Drop. But if that was the case, we wouldn't see the Forge, I don't believe. Otherwise, this could be for a Soul Train-esque build, going for a higher Immortal count early on. Building up Immortals. Building up Sentries. If this was a later Twilight Council, I would assume Bay into Colossus production. But the Twilight Council was earlier, so leaning more towards Archons in charge. We'll see. No, he's going for the Bay. Okay. He's going for fast Colossus. Again, the Twilight Council threw me off a little bit here. So from my understanding, typically you get the earlier Forge, and then you can hit a +2 timing with like 4 Colossus. Speaking of 4 Colossus, okay. Yeah, this is an old school build. We saw this, and it's a unique variation, to be fair. It does have its own little flair to it. But you used to see this a lot more frequently on the altitude map pool. That was like maybe 2 years ago. But if you watch the ZvPs on altitude, if you remember Showtime was very fond of this. I remember MaxPax and Skillus, they dabbled in it, and Creator was very fond of it as well. I would say like the more prominent Protoss players were Showtime and Creator, like embracing double Robo, double Colossus into +1 and +2, into these like quad Colossus +2 tidings. I want to say altitude was 2023. I need to double check. But now Lings ASIP in. Get a couple of probe kills. Let's see. Altitude Wikipedia. Just double checking. Yes, 2023. So that would have been when that kind of style was more prominent. This did fall out of favor. Did kind of fall out of fashion. One of the reasons why this works so well on altitude, and fun fact, there's another snow map, so it's a larger map as well, is because on altitude you could be very defensive and you'd be relatively safe because of the size of the map. It's similar here, where on smaller maps you could not get away with this. Like, it's just so greedy. Look at the ground army. Like, your ground army is so weak until your Colossus come into gear, until they pop out. So this is more viable on larger maps. Here we have our first 2, and again we should be getting up to 4, at least in my mind. Typically be up to 4 Colossus, 3rd Colossus on the way. Yep, there's the 4th. And again, these 4 Colossi should be hitting, oh, it does cancel for the Prism, but we should be hitting with +2 typically. +1 did just finish. Oh, let's go, the contamination. Okay, YoungYakov, he goes in, he scouts. He just saw the Colossus, by the way, an instant contamination on the Robo. Let's go. As this is going to be delayed, back at home, YoungYakov is taking up. He went Roach initially into Hydra, and now taking up into Hive and Lurker tech. Now, how do you counter this heavy Colossus army? Vipers. Like, Vipers are the go-to to abduct, to shut down the Colossi. Lurkers can slow this down, but Vipers will shut this down. And there it is. There's the first Viper. So Viper's on the way. +2 begins. We're hitting pre-+2. And we're pushing with 3 Colossus. And again, it was a later Forge. So later Forge, later +2. And Jumy does move out. And this is hitting pre-Vipers. Remember, the Vipers are still in production. They still have to gather energy. Yakov, he's in a bit of trouble. He's got 5 Lurkers to defend. He has to buy some time. And the space may just go down. Yeah, Yakov, he cannot defend this expansion. At the same time, does go for the counterattack, going for the 4th base. Lurkers are exposed, losing 1, 2 Lurkers. And Jumy, he's doing it. Yeah, he breaks through every single Lurker. Lurkers go down. Now there's a backbone to the army. There's nothing to defend. You just keep going. You just keep pushing in. And sure, now we have Vipers, but what does it matter? Without Lurkers, the Vipers, there's no DPS. There's no damage output here to focus on the Colossus. Jumy is going for the kill. Now Yakov does turn back around with his army. He's racing back home. With some blinding clouds, maybe we can pull this off. Does abduct, gets 1, gets 2. Oh, Orchid abduction here on the Prism. Saves one of the Colossus. Yeah, still 2 Colossi left. Oh, Prism goes down. Colossus as well. Very nice abduction. And Yakov is holding. Wow, Yakov, he does hold on. He does take down every single Colossus. Whew, very clutch hold. But did lose a mineral line, did lose 2 mineral lines and an expansion as well. So a very shaky defense here from YoungYakov. He does hold, he does retain an economy. He's on, what, 3 base saturation. What's important though is that Jumy, he himself does not have a 4th base. It was cancelled, if you recall. It was denied. So even though Jumy, he has a higher probe count, he's oversaturated, right? So his economy here is not as efficient. Switching into disruptors. Interesting. I have to say about that. Interesting here. Switching out of Colossus into disruptors. I mean, they're both still going to be targets for Vipers and for abductions. As Yakov, he's stabilizing it with his lurkers. Meanwhile, we have the fleet beacon on the way. This is late. This is going to slow Jumy down. It looks like he wants to build up into Sky Toss. But losing that 4th base was brutal. Like, this stifles Jumy so much. And Yakov, he's maxing out. He's maxing out. He still has 2 Vipers. Oh, crazy blink. Yeah, blinks into the lurkers. Losing 2 stalkers. Losing 3. Yeah, 3 stalkers go down. Roaches, they focus down the High Templar. Templar goes down as well. No storm. Disruptors are revealed, and that's going to be the main target for the Vipers. He wants those disruptors. Never goes off. Vipers are on the hunt. Gets 1. Takes down 1. Doesn't quite get the other. Going for the Blinding Cloud instead. And Jumy's holding on for the timing, but here come the reinforcements. Here come the lurkers. Here comes the rally. And we can see Yakov, he's ready for a run by instead. It's a little supply tied up. Nice Nova. Oof. But we'll lose another disruptor. And Yakov, he does activate the army. It's getting activated. Does realize, hold on, you're struggling to defend. No shot, you have a zealot run by. No shot. And Lankers, they move in. Oof. Massive shots going off. Lurker range is done. Tempest is revealed. Spire is on the way. Nice Aces. Aces goes off. Yakov trying to catch reinforcements. Nice storm on the lurkers. Oh my god, the abductions though. Gets a Tempest. Tempest goes down, lunges forward, catching out the Archon, the Immortal as well. Oof. Lurkers, they punish the Stalkers, and Roaches, they bust into the mineral line. Yeah, Jumy's being broken, he's just being torn apart, he cannot keep up, not like this. And again, that Colossus timing was so close. Like, he almost killed Yakov then and there. He killed a mineral line, killed a base. Did well for himself, but as we mentioned, he didn't have a 4th, right? He lost his 4th expansion. I thought it was greedy for Yakov to go for the counterattack when he did, but it worked. It was worth it. And with that, Jumy has been broken. Hydras, they start to step in. They catch the final disruptor. And no more Novas, no more disruptors. And with that, Yakov, he has done it. Now getting into the mineral line. There's 1 lurker's in position. GG gets called, and YoungYakov, he will claim the series 3-0, taking down Jumy and advancing on to the grand finals. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Again, a really interesting build here out of Jumy. Again, it wasn't quite the same build that we saw previously. As we mentioned, it was a later forge, later upgrades, but an earlier timing there by Jumy. If you remember, he hit pre-Viper. He hit like just as the Vipers were popping out. They weren't ready for the first push, which is why he dealt so much damage. He was able to get on top of the lurkers, able to break through the 4th base, able to break through the 3rd base as well. But maybe it took a little bit too long, right? Maybe it took a little bit too long. Maybe we needed a little bit more urgency out of Jumy to push into the natural, to catch the tech and to catch reinforcements. Instead, he was going for the fringe bases, which meant that realistically there, YoungYakov, it was just buying time. Like, he was just buying time to build up his army, to gather energy on those Vipers. And with that, he barely held on. Shout out to the Vipers. They did pop out in time. They were the MVPs for that fight. Clean up all the Colossus and the War Prism, and GG. GG, well played. With that, YoungYakov does claim the series. And we have our top 2. We have our top 2 finalists here. It's going to be Shameless and YoungYakov facing off in the grand finals. But before the grand finals, it is time for the bronze match, the 3rd place match here. It is going to be another best of 5, but this time between Jumy and Minizerg. Oh boy. Again, Jumy and Minizerg, they may have lost their respective matches, but now they get to face off against each other to confirm who is 4th and who is 3rd in this tournament, as there is a prize pool difference. Just catching up. catching up. How the Protoss can charge the energy of the Oracle with Shield Battery or the Nexus. The Nexus has an ability called Energy Overcharge, and it works on anything that has energy. So that's applicable to the Shield Battery because the Shield Battery has energy, or it can also be used on an Oracle or a High Templar or a Sentry, or again any unit that has energy can be overcharged. Can be overcharged. So that is the ability on the Nexus. So you have to be within range, right? You have to be within range of the Nexus. It's a relatively new ability, like it was brought into play like maybe, was it 2 years ago, a year ago? Relatively new. Yeah. But otherwise, with that, we are going to be cutting to a short break. We're going to be cutting to a short break here. When we come back, we will have that bronze match. We'll have Jumy versus Mini Zerg. We'll see you soon. See you soon after the break. See you soon. Bye.